It's a whole week devoted to the best player in franchise history, the soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Dwyane Wade. What are the top moments throughout his incredible career? Who were his best teammates and best individual seasons? We give you our rankings, answer Wade-related trivia, and much more as we kick off Dwyane Wade Week here on Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to Dwyane Wade Week here on Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. I'm Wes Goldberg here with David Ramil. However you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or your favorite podcast app, thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Welcome to Dwyane Wade Week, where all week we are celebrating the career of Dwyane Wade as he gets to be enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame this weekend. Really excited for what we've got on deck this week. We've got interviews with his former teammates, people who covered him throughout his career. But I thought we could start this week off with something that we're calling Rankapalooza. All right, we love rankings. Couldn't decide, are we going to do the best thing from like Wade's career, his best seasons, finals appearances, best teammates, best where he ranks among shooting guards. So we just decided, all right, we'll just do all of it. Let's just do all of it in one big podcast, just a bunch of stuff. We're probably going to end up doing two parts. We'll see. Also, during the trivia, there are certain words that if we trip on them, it's gonna trigger this random like daily double style trivia question throughout the show. We're calling them flash trivia or Dwyane Wade trivia or something, whatever. Those are gonna just happen throughout the show, so be on the lookout for those. But let's just jump right into this thing with his top 5 defining moments, which you put together, David.
Yeah, just, we want to invite debate here too. I want to start off by saying that, like, Dwyane Wade, like, he is such an important player for so many fans of Miami Heat basketball. And whether you started watching it before Pat Riley joined the team in '95, or during the Alonzo and Tim Hardaway era, or even during the Big Three, you know how important Dwyane Wade is to this franchise. And we want to kind of stir up debate. We want your conversation, so make sure to leave comments, suggestions. We want your feedback on this because, well, I mean, it's Dwyane Wade, and while he gets one,
while you're there, we want to try to put together a show of like these like voice messages. So we have them open the Locked On Heat Instagram account. You could just DM us a voice message. Tell us your favorite Dwyane Wade memories, your favorite moments, what he means to you as a Heat fan, and all those things. What we'd love to do is get enough of them where we could put them together and build a whole show around your voice messages. So again, Locked On Heat on Instagram, super easy. Just DM us. The DMs are open. Slide right in there with a voice message. We'll download it and we'll upload it to the show, and we'll try to build a show around them if we get enough of them. So please try to do that.
Heck yeah. All right. So my list of the top 5 defining moments. I'm going to start off much like you do, Wes. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to my honorable mention. How about that? It's not necessarily an extra moment or anything like that, but my honorable mention, the game winner versus the Golden State Warriors in 2019. I think just a top moment because it just shows, again, as lucky as that was a shot, and everybody kind of forgets that he had like the shot. It was blocked. He winds up recovering Dion Waiters to Dwyane in Golden State. That was the year that, he had just got Kevin Durant had just joined the group there. They were back-to-back champions. They were so amazing. And, just a really, that was their championship. No, they had won 2 championships the year before. My bad. And KD, of course, was soon to be out of there anyway. But anyway, there was a great squad, a historically good team, obviously. And Dwyane Wade's game winner there, just incredible, circling around the floor there, just an amazing moment, and capping off such a great career there.
He gets it, he shoots it, gets it back, and then launches it again, or he kind of gets it knocked away. He shoots it like off balance. It goes in
right back to him.
My favorite part about it was Steph just looking at him and smiling.
Talking to KD.
Just being like, and just being like, oh my God. And then the Warriors, I was covering the Warriors that year. And that was and I remember talking to the Warriors after that, and they were like, he's a Hall of Famer. That's what they do, And they they weren't even mad. They were just impressed, It was like he ate the whole wheel of cheese. So good honorable mention.
All right. So kicking off then our list of top 5 defining moments, or my list anyway. Number 5, This was more Wesley in that sense. It was either the full court alley oop during the Big Three era or the infamous lob that's been commemorated in so many different moments there. I can't figure out which one of them, but to me, it's both of them are such perfect encapsulations of the Big Three era, like two talents in their prime doing things we've never seen before, like that an alley oop lob from out of bounds. Dwyane Wade catches the ball, brings it up. They had just scored, throws it full length of the court, and perfectly seamlessly, LeBron catches it, lays it up for an incredible alley oop, and then of course there's also the lob.
The iconic what a picture.
Yeah. I couldn't.
I'm gonna get that's the tiebreaker. No, you got the photo afterwards. It's iconic. It just that gives it. It's not necessarily the better play. Like it's not the better basketball play. I would actually say the other one is the better basketball play. Like the more challenging basketball play. But you got the iconic photo, and it just sets it over the top.
Who outraces a whole team? This was LeBron at such a peak. Like we haven't seen that kind of incredible burst and speed from him in so long. But there he was, like outrunning a whole team and just catching this. It was amazing play. Like I went through it and watched it over and over because you can't believe that it's actually happening.
All right, so that was sort of a tiebreaker for number 5. Number 4.
I've got the Anderson Varejao dunk. What a moment. He just crushes Varejao completely. And that was such a fun game because everybody kind of forgets.
We posted the highlight on the on our Instagram page, actually. I posted a few different highlights from Dwyane Wade on the Instagram page. And that Anderson Varejao dunk, I remember watching it like as a kid and just being like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. Again, very early formative years for me as an NBA fan. I went back and watched it. He gains speed. He does. I don't think he gets the rebound. I think maybe like Haslam or somebody else gets the rebound and then passes it off to him. He might have actually gotten the rebound. And then he just starts going up the court. He's not going full speed, but he kind of gains steam. And you could see the moment where he's like, oh, I've got this dude. This guy's just going to hang out by the rim, and I've got a full court sprint going on, and he just lays it into him. And Dwyane Wade had this way of dunking where he just went straight up and down early in his career, where when his hand hit rim, he was vertical. Like he was perpendicular to the court, and it was so violent in the way he did it, right? Like I don't know that there's another guy, like a guy who gets like that just straight up and down in the air and just full body contact. He's just like, when he dunked on you, you flew backwards. It was almost like Shaq, but much smaller, obviously.
Yeah, he didn't have that kind of vert that a lot of explosive dunkers do, but he just had that incredible wingspan. And so for him, once he combined that athleticism and got just the right takeoff, it was just bodied people. It was just unbelievable. Right. And that game itself was such an incredible one too, because it was this back and forth affair. Eventually the Cleveland Cavaliers won, but Dwyane actually outscored LeBron that game. LeBron had 34 points on an inefficient 8 of 20 shooting. He also had 16 of 18 free throws. So LeBron getting a little bit of a friendly whistle there. Also had 7 rebounds. 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So the overall game from LeBron. But Dwyane coming up with 36 points on also 9 of 21 shooting, 15 of 21 free throw attempts. So I don't know what was going on there, but hitting the 3 that game, 3 of 6. So he was just feeling it. Monster. Great game against a friend and rival and LeBron James, and then he caps it off with that incredible dunk. So spectacular moment. Number 3, the 2004 playoff game winner that kind of woke everybody up to the greatness of Dwyane Wade. We saw him in Marquette. We saw an incredible rookie season. We talk about this later on this week with some of the media members that covered him. Like they saw moments of greatness, but it was still so up and down, inconsistent. First-year coach in Stan Van Gundy. Pat Riley goes up to the front office. You're not quite sure what to get. There was a lot of questions about that group. You acquire Lamar Odom, but you still got older veterans like Eddie Jones and Brian Grant, a couple others. And Udonis, that's his rookie season too, and he winds up playing a major role. And here's Dwyane. Like, we don't really know who this kid is. He's not LeBron, and LeBron had all the hype of this draft. And then who's in the playoffs that first year? Dwyane Wade. Who's hitting game winners? Dwyane effing Wade. That's why he's the greatest. He is one of the greatest.
That was the one against New Orleans, right? At the end of
the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah,
very Jordan-esque. Takes Baron Davis off the dribble, crossover right to left, gets right into the top of the square. Like you don't see players taking jump shots from that range anymore. Usually at that point in today's NBA, you're already kind of settled into a floater, or you're waiting like at that spot though. Like the specific, to even take a shot from there would be inefficient and be like, why? How can you do that? You can't do something like that. Either get to the basket or take the three. But even when you kind of get to that area, players are trained to just go up with a floater now because you've got bigs dropping back to the rim. But not back then, man. Not in 2004. Like Dwyane Wade crossed over Baron Davis. Baron Davis was on his hips still playing catch up, and then all the Hornets just sort of converged onto him. And he went up again, straight up and down, stopped, and just rose up for that just kind of mid-range vertical shot that he had, and drained it for the game winner in the playoffs. Great one. Number 2.
Kind of cheating a little bit here. The 2006 NBA Finals. Like, I just got the whole finals. Like, no one moment, but the finals, such a defining thing. Like, to his critics, it's him getting to the line too often. You and I debunked that completely last year. Like, Dwyane Wade earned whatever free throw he got. He didn't flop once. He drew contact. He was playing at another level, and I remain convinced. Like, after rewatching that again, like even in 2006, like, it's an exorbitant amount of free throws. It seemed unreal to see him get that. Upon rewatch, like, he's not flopping. He's not dropping to the ground. He's not selling contact. He's taking contact. Devin Harris was flopping much more egregiously, and I made that point during last year's rewatch, and I'll maintain it. It was an incredible moment, but to his critics, that's what they point to. It's like, oh, he was gifted this. It's like, no. He was the very best player on the planet. His star was rising. He was a superstar in the making, and that finals really cemented that he is one of the best players in the league.
I thought after that, he was the best player in the league. I think Dwyane Wade was the best player in the league twice. I thought he was the best player in the league after that finals, bar none. I thought it was him and him alone. And then I think that there was an argument to be made between him and LeBron in 2009. And I think those two times was when Dwyane Wade was the best player in the league. That finals performance, and I have no problem with you putting the entire finals up there, was you and I did that rewatch, and we encourage everybody. It's still up on our YouTube page, a 2006 finals rewatch. We had so much fun doing it last summer. It still holds up. And there's obviously a lot of Dwyane Wade talk in there. I remember Mike Breen saying this is Jordan-esque. This is Jordan-esque. Dwyane Wade from Chicago, modeling after his hero. It was better than Michael Jordan. It was a better series than Michael Jordan ever had. No, it was. Statistically,
statistically, yes. You're right.
It was better than any series Michael Jordan ever put together from a third year player. It's crazy, the numbers, what he did. And you, again, go back on our YouTube page. You can go find highlights somewhere else on YouTube of what he did if you weren't old enough or you don't remember or whatever. It was just phenomenal what he was doing that year. Was crazy. All right. That was number 2?
Yes.
What's number 1?
Come on. Like, this is the statue in front of the Kaseya Center. This is my house. Come on. Like, is there ever going to be any other moment
mind-blowing
as iconic as that? And like, I know, unfortunately, everybody kind of remembers his attempt at trying to get up on the table in his last year. But like, if you're going to think of Dwyane Wade, if your life flashes before your eyes and you think of Dwyane Wade in any one moment, this is it. This is him just killing a team, hitting a game winner, and then going up to the top of that table and letting
3 seconds left.
That's my house.
The Chicago Bulls have the ball. Dwyane Wade doesn't steal it, doesn't like pick off the passing lane, doesn't do it. Just grabs the ball. Just takes it, grabs the ball, sprints down the court, 2, 1, lifts up from right at the 3-point arc, and off balance, falling just sort of towards the basket, just drops it in for the game-winning shot, and that's it. And you know what really made that? Not just obviously getting on the stanchion and all of American Airlines Arena going nuts. Eric Reed's call. I watched it earlier this afternoon, David. Eric Reed's call is phenomenal on that. A great play by a great player putting together a great career. Like, it's just like, it's this great call. It's peak Eric Reed as well as peak Dwyane Wade. So shout out to E. Reed there. That was awesome. Love the top 5 moments. Let us know what your defining moments, your favorite Dwyane memories are in the YouTube comments. And of course, you can leave those messages, voice messages, in the DMs on our Instagram page. So please do that. But coming up next here in Rankapalooza, top 5 Dwyane Wade vintages. What do we mean by that? That's coming up next. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting on Major League Baseball and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll add $200 in bonus bets. Whether you win or lose, that's $200 that you can spend on betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All in an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to place a bet than on Major League Baseball than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And you sign up today, you visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Make sure that you're subscribed on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app for all of Dwyane Wade week. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking with our friend Israel Gutierrez of ESPN, who covered Dwyane Wade from his rookie season, about his memories of an early career Dwyane Wade. You're not going to want to miss that. All right, next up in Rankapalooza, top 5 Dwyane Wade vintages. A little bit of a play on Dwyane Wade's passion for wine, the fact that Dwyane Wade has his own wine. But I didn't want to do seasons either, like top 5 Dwyane Wade seasons, because you could just kind of do it statistically, and that's sort of the argument. I wanted to provide a little bit more wiggle room for more of an interesting kind of conversation here. So of all of Dwyane Wade's seasons, what vintage do you want to bottle up, take off the shelf, and crack open with a nice pork chop or something, whatever you're interested in having right now. I'm going to start with the number 5 and go to number 1. Number 5.
All right, let's do it.
The 2012-2013 Dwyane Wade vintage. 21.2 points per game on 52% shooting. This is what he averaged in the season. 5 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 1.9 steals, and 0.8 blocks. He played 69 games in the 2012-2013 season. We remember how the 2012-13 season ended, of course, was the Miami Heat beating the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals. He played 69 games in 2012-2013 after playing 49 games the year before that, and he played 54 games the year after that. So besides the first year of the Big Three, this was his healthiest year. I thought it was a really impressive year. We also, one of the most underrated games, I think, of the Big Three era, not just of that season, was Game 4 of the 2013 NBA Finals. Miami splits the first 2 games on the road against San Antonio. They go into San Antonio 1-1, lose to the Spurs by 36 points. That would have broken almost every team. That would have broken them. And instead, it was one of the best performances by the Big Three, those 3, by LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, we had ever seen. They combined to score 85 points on like 70% shooting between the 3 of them in Game 4 in San Antonio to get a win on the road. And Dwyane Wade led the way. He had like 10 points in the first quarter, 11 points in the fourth quarter or something like that to close the game. He had 3 steals in the fourth quarter of that Game 4. It was just to sort of cap it off, and then obviously they go on to win the whole thing in one of the great final series we've ever watched. But they probably don't get to Ray Allen making the historic shot if they lose and go down 3-1 after losing by 36 points in Game 4. You know what I mean? So that series would have been over. And Dwyane Wade was a big deal of why that was. So I've got the 2012-2013 vintage of Dwyane Wade ranked number 5.
Best season of Miami Heat history. The 27-game win streak, 66-16. They were so good, so dominant. Yes, it was a total team effort, but people kind of overlook how good Dwyane was as an individual player during the Big Three era, because there's the year after where he's already dealing with the load management issue, et cetera. And then before that, there was the strike shortened season. That was a lockout shortened season, I should say, 66 games. That's why he only played 49 of those 66. But you're already, it's not Dwyane's team anymore. It's LeBron. LeBron at the peak of his powers, 2-time MVP, obviously. Just a great, great, great stint of his career. But Dwyane, as good, I loathe to kind of use the Batman and Robin sort of thing, because it was just Batman and Batman, or Batman and the
Yeah.
Flash, let's say. It's just two superheroes still very much in their prime, and he was just really, really, really good. Not till the next season did people start to say, "Oh, vintage Dwyane Wade," because he was starting to deal with more lingering. Look,
they
runs
had the
to
whole
the
load management program, the whole thing. That was the next year.
Yeah, maintenance program. That's right. Program. Yeah. Oh my God, it was terrible.
All right, so that was number 5. Number 4. I think you're gonna be surprised by this.
All right.
I got the 2005-2006 season. All the way down at number 4 here. This is what he averaged for the year. 27.2 points per game on 49.5% shooting. He did shoot just 17% on threes. That wasn't great. So that's where I have him. Here's the crazy part about this season. I don't think people remember how truly athletic Dwyane Wade was. He had 152 dunks that year.
Unreal.
152. For context, the most dunks Russell Westbrook ever had in a season was 69. The most dunks John Morant ever had in a season was 58. He had 100 more than that in a season. Giannis, during his last MVP year, in his last MVP year, had 197. He's a foot taller than Dwyane Wade, who had 40 fewer dunks than that. And by the way, a much slower paced game than today's NBA game. Not nearly as many possessions. Bam last year. Bam Adebayo had 140 dunks last year. Dwyane Wade had 152 that year. That is bananas numbers. It is insane. And that brings us to
Dwyane Wade trivia.
David.
Oh,
who had more dunks out of this group of players? Are you ready?
Yes.
You're going to tell me who had the most dunks out of this group of players.
Okay.
Dwyane Wade, obviously. Blake Griffin. Vince Carter. Dwight Howard. And Kobe Bryant.
For their career?
For their career.
Season?
For their career. Their whole career.
Dwyane
Wade. Blake Griffin. Vince Carter. Dwight Howard. And Kobe Bryant. Can you rank them, actually?
I would say it's down to Dwight or Dwyane. I would say 1, 2. 5 of those, probably just Blake, just because of the amount of time he missed due to injury. And he was more of a spot-up shooter than anything else. Kobe had some electric dunks.
You got Blake at the bottom then?
Blake at 5, yeah. Blake at 5.
Okay.
Kobe, actually, Vince Carter. He wound up turning into more of a three-point shooter. I'd say Vince 5, Blake 4, yes. Kobe 3, Dwight 2, Dwyane 1.
So you're close. It is Vince. It's Vince at the bottom, then Kobe, and then Blake.
Okay.
Blake had his first 4 years was just insane. Like he got them all basically his first 4 years. So it was Vince, Kobe, then Blake, then it's Wade, and then it's Dwight Howard, who actually has the most dunks in NBA history for a career.
Really?
He has almost 3,000 dunks in his career. He has 2,950 dunks for his career. Again, number 1 in NBA history. Dwyane Wade has 1,098, 4 more than Blake Griffin, almost 100 more than Kobe Bryant, and way more than Vince Carter. That's where Dwyane Wade ranks. And you look at where he is, and there's like no guards near him. It's not close. He has the 21st most dunks in NBA history in a career. Dwyane Wade does. Okay, so that's our first Dwyane Wade trivia. That was fun. Number 3. I'm going to do this together. So I've got number 3 as 2009, 2010. I've got number 2 at 2010, 2011, the first year of the Big 3. That's my number 2. In that year, the first year of the Big 3, 25.5 points, so 1 point per game fewer than the year before, where he didn't have LeBron on his team. 6.4 rebounds and 4.6 assists. So basically inverted the rebounds and the assists from the last year of the Big 3, the last year before the Big 3, and then the first year of the Big 3. Okay. So in his final year before LeBron got here, he had a bunch of assists and he had about 5 rebounds per game. In that first year of the Big 3, you invert that. He had more rebounds and fewer assists. And that's why I'm giving the edge to that first year of the Big 3. I've got that as my second best vintage of Dwyane Wade, because there's that story about how they go to the Bahamas, him and LeBron. He says, it's your team now and everything, after they lose to Dallas in the finals. but he was already doing a great job of fitting his game next to LeBron that first year. In fact, I would argue he did a better job of fitting his game next to LeBron, better than LeBron did next to Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh, or Chris Bosh did fitting in next to Dwyane Wade and LeBron. Dwyane Wade kind of already saw the vision. He was already cutting off ball. He was already doing those things. You mentioned the bounce lob iconic photo to LeBron and all these things. Like, he was already there, and the stats back that up. And even though he didn't average the most points per game of his career, I just thought the way he played in that year, that first year of the Big Three, he was still arguably the best player in the league alongside LeBron. And he was just so good. Like, the basketball IQ, molding his game next to those guys, he was still the leader that year. And he had to be the leader until LeBron was ready to take over as the leader. But I was just in the totality of it, so impressed with that vintage of Dwyane Wade.
Absolutely. Great run from him, and just amazing to show that kind of consistency regardless of like the superstar level talent surrounding him. That's just how good he was, that he could impact the game that way. And I know that eventually his role started shifting a little bit during the Big Three era, but that first year, pretty spectacular.
All right, number one. There should be no drama here. It's the 2008-2009 season, right? Leads the league in scoring, 30.2 points per game on 49% shooting, and just for a good measure, 7.5 assists and 5 rebounds and 2.2 steals and 1.3 blocks per game. He led the NBA in scoring, like I said, okay? He did it, though, with a higher shooting percentage than LeBron, a higher shooting percentage than Dirk Nowitzki, a higher shooting percentage than Kobe Bryant, and he scored more points than them. He had averaged more assists than LeBron James that year. 7.5 for Dwyane Wade, 7.2 for LeBron James. He was second in the NBA in steals, David. He had 2.2 steals per game. Chris Paul led the league at 2.8 steals per game while scoring 10 fewer points per game. Here's a crazy stat. Stocks, steals plus blocks. He had 3.5 stocks per game that year. That was behind only one player in the entire league. Defensive Player of the Year, one of the great defenders we've ever seen, Dwight Howard, at 3.9. He was second behind Dwight Howard. Nobody else could even touch those guys when you combine steals and blocks. That was wild. Here's what I really want to talk about, though. I really, truly believe Dwyane Wade was the best player in the league that year. I don't think it was LeBron. I think it was LeBron the year before that, and it was probably LeBron a couple of years after that. But there was a moment where Dwyane Wade was the best player on the planet, and I think it was this year, and he should have won MVP that year. Here's his teammates versus LeBron. Versus LeBron's teammates. All right, let's remember, LeBron went on to win. They won 66 games, the Cavs did, represented the East in the NBA Finals. Dwyane Wade's team won 43 games, and they still made the playoffs and lost in 7 games to Boston, okay? I would argue that the Heat had no business being in the playoffs this year. His teammates were Michael Beasley, Jermaine O'Neal. That's it. Those are the teammates. Like a young Mario Chalmers, Carlos Arroyo.
Arroyo was starting over him too. Yeah.
Rafer Alston kind of just hanging in there. Like,
he came back second stint, I think, with the team at that point.
It was
Is that the Jamario Moon?
No, I'm sorry.
Year?
No, I'm sorry. That was the Jamario Moon year. Yeah. This was the year
Sean
where they
Marion for a bit there. Yeah.
Sean Marion. And then traded Sean Marion for Jermaine O'Neal.
Yep.
This team was awful. You compare that to LeBron's 66-win Cavs. We joke about Mo Williams. That was his best year of his career. He averaged 18-4 that year. That's a pretty good second banana. Yeah. His rotation was also mostly healthy. He had Anderson Varejao, Big C, and Dranos Ilgauskas. It was Delonte West's best season of his career. His team made 524 three-pointers at a 40% clip. That was LeBron's team. Dwyane Wade's team made 494 three-pointers at 35%.
Oh my gosh. I am looking at this
awful.
I'm looking at this roster now. I mean, Joel Anthony's first year, Marcus Banks, oh my God. Mark Blount, like Daquan Cook, RIP, Yakuba Diawara, like Udonis, obviously, Luther Head, James Jones wasn't really much of a contributor.
That team got to the playoffs because of Dwyane Wade. That's it. That is the only reason that team was even sniffing 500 was because of D Wade.
Was on that roster.
Chris Quinn played a lot of minutes for that roster. He was their best 3-point shooter. I love you, Chris, but like, come So yeah, the 2008, 2009 vintage of Dwyane Wade is the best vintage of Dwyane Wade. All right.
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear. We're going pretty long on this. We got one more segment to do. I predicted it. I thought this was going to be 2 parts. Rankapalooza. Coming up next, Dwyane Wade's top 5 teammates, his top 5 peers. Who are his top 5 peers? Interesting conversation coming up next here on Locked On Heat.
Let's do a trivia question.
Dwyane Wade trivia.
All right. I know this is a pretty silly one. What music superstar claimed Dwyane Wade as his favorite player?
Oh.
Music superstar.
Is it Flo Rida?
Nope. No. He is also, I'll give you a hint, he is also a fellow basketball player.
Damian Lillard?
No. An actual music superstar.
If you say J. Cole here.
It's not. It is not. It's Prince.
Prince. That is
Prince.
A superstar of superstars.
A music superstar. Music superstar Prince. Absolutely.
Wow. Prince, huh? I love that one.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got one more. I'll save the rest of them for another episode.
All right.
Which player inadvertently injured Dwyane Wade's shoulder in 2008?
Inadvertently injured Dwyane Wade's shoulder in 2008.
Yeah, that shoulder blade was wheeled off in a wheelchair, missed the half of the season. It was the beginning of the end there. It was a 2007-2008 team. They traded the big cactus to Phoenix, obviously. It was just a mess. That was the 15.
Is that Verashov?
No, it wasn't. But I will give you another hint. A future teammate of Dwyane Wade's.
It was Big Z.
Nope.
No.
It was against the Houston Rockets, who would have their own
Shane Battier?
Shane Battier.
Wow.
Shane Battier drifting to the paint, and Dwyane makes this kind of half attempt to try and steal the ball, and he winds up getting his finger or hand caught on Shane as he's making this corner pass to a wide open shooter, and it just pulls his arm right out of the socket, tears everything there. Like, it was Shane Battier. I wonder if they talked about that at some point.
I like the little laser noise. I do wonder if they talked about that. That's interesting. All right. Are we ready for top 5 teammates?
Go for it.
Okay. Number 5. Well, let me go. My honorable mention. Honorable mention was Ray Allen. That was my honorable mention. Didn't play long enough. Had the shot. Otherwise, it was fine. He was fine.
What's your criteria for teammate, best teammate? In terms of overall quality?
Most talented. Yeah, Udonis Haslem isn't in this. I'm sorry.
Oh,
he didn't.
Oh, wow. You're letting the cat out of the bag. Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm just the best player in a vacuum. All right. So number 5 is Lamar Odom.
Wow.
He averaged 17, 10, and 4 and 2 stocks that year. The one year that he played with Dwyane Wade. They don't make the playoffs if not for Lamar Odom in Dwyane Wade's rookie year. Dwyane Wade was phenomenal. They don't make the playoffs without Dwyane Wade either. But he was kind of an ideal co-star for Wade.
Oh my God.
Wade was playing out of position at point guard. He needed just other players in the lineup that could also do some ball handling and some facilitating, obviously provide length and defense. And Lamar Odom brought all those things to the table. There's a reason why he was the centerpiece of that Shaq trade, right? With him and Karan Butler in the first round picks and Brian Grant. So Lamar Odom was phenomenal. You and I are aligned on this too. We're Lamar Odom truthers. He was so good, just the forgotten player for the Miami Heat. But he was so good that year. So I got number 5 is Lamar Odom. Number 4.
All right.
This one's a little surprising.
Okay.
I'm breaking the rules here, but not really, because we never specified the rules. 2016-17 season. Dwyane Wade's in Chicago. He's playing with a very, very talented Jimmy Butler.
Oh, come on. Are we going to bring up the forgotten year? That never really even happened. And now you're going to pull Jimmy out of that? I don't know. I get it. I understand.
Jimmy Butler averaged 24 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists that year, and he was an all-star. He was awesome. He was awesome, and then the Bulls were like, we don't want to extend you. We don't think you're worth the max. And then they traded him to Minnesota.
Bulls. Go Bulls.
But he was great. You couldn't leave him off this list. For the record,
You know
there's
what?
nothing else from Chicago, and there is certainly nothing from Cleveland on my list.
I'll allow it only because if not for that 1 year, he probably doesn't influence Jimmy enough to like come here. So it makes sense.
Too. So it's a very important part of his career. Number 3 is Chris Bosh. Speaks for itself. Chris Bosh is awesome. I think still one of the most underrated players in Miami Heat history. I think one of the most underrated defenders in NBA history, especially within the last 2 decades. There is no Draymond Green without Chris Bosh, and that's not my opinion. Steve Kerr told me that once. So how's that? Number 2, 2006, Shaquille O'Neal. Did you have something on Bosh?
No. I was just gonna say I thought it was Dwyane Wade, but no, I guess it's
honorable mention also Dwyane Wade. Honorable mention also Mario Chalmers.
He's an honorable mention in everything. Any of our lists, Mario Chalmers is honorable mention.
Yes. Honorable mention for greatest Dwyane Wade vintages, just Mario Chalmers. 2006, Shaquille O'Neal changed the entire face of the Miami Heat franchise. We were now a star franchise. We were a star city. We were a championship caliber franchise. Yeah, the Lamar Odom, Dwyane Wade Heat, they were plucky. They were fun. They were surprising, but they were not a championship contender by any stretch. Shaq came, made them a championship contender, turned the Heat into a star destination where they weren't before. Everybody, all the Alonzo Mournings, the Tim Hardaways, Pat Riley traded for them. Nobody ever directed their way to Miami until Shaq, and then obviously after Shaq with number 1, LeBron James. Goes without saying. Maybe the greatest player of all time at his absolute peak of his powers. Played alongside Dwyane Wade. LeBron does not get the championships if not for Dwyane Wade those years. LeBron does not, I don't think, become as good as he ultimately became if not for Dwyane Wade. I am not giving Dwyane Wade all the credit, but I think Dwyane Wade was a very important player in LeBron's formative years in the guidance and all those things. And LeBron basically took the blueprint from Miami and the culture that Dwyane Wade helped establish here and brought it to Cleveland and then brought it to LA with the Lakers. He took what he learned here, and he said that as much. Those were my college years, right? He talks about the 4 years. It was his 4-year university at the University of Miami Heat. And that's what he did, and he took it elsewhere, and he's done amazing things in those other places as well. So those are my top 5 teammates. You've got top 5 peers, which I think is a lot more difficult than mine.
Yeah, let's save that for the next episode. I think we could do that for our next 2-parter.
All right. There's the tease right there. So we'll do top 5 peers. We've got our what ifs, top 5 Dwyane Wade finals performances, and then David and I have our list of the top 5 shooting guards of all time. I'm going to imagine Dwyane Wade is on that list somewhere. Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app, and then tune in for part 2 of Dwyane Wade Rankapalooza.